Right now, though, let's get to the crux of the matter. It may scare you. And we're joined by CJ Atemo and Robert Israel Burale. And today we're talking about, we're trying to move the story forward. If you watched Citizen TV or saw the trend on Sunday, hashtag first class betrayal, is a story of a young man who had got A's in Miranda, got a first class in actuarial science in University of Nairobi, and he was not able to get a job. Moving forward, I think he's been offered over 50 jobs so far. But that prompted another discussion online. I saw so many people talking about, yes, the story is sad, the situation is sad, and there are many others like that. We cannot deny that. And employment statistics are there. But then there is the fact that the youth, and that's our topic today, are they dazed? Is it hazy? Is it unclear what they want? Are they not proactive enough sometimes? Are they lazy? Or are they even crazy? I want to share some statistics with you here and we'll just show some slides. This report was done by Bright Amanda, which is an online job application portal. They surveyed about 8,000 of the youth and they had, this is some of what they found. Right there, so the industries that the youth think are the best working conditions are NGOs, banking, financial insurance, IT, media and communications, 6%. Youth, tuko hapa, jameni, tuko hapa. Education and training, retail is 2%. And then the other stat that we have, that we'll be showing in a short while as well, is that one there. So the employment status, 55% are currently unemployed, while 45% are employed, and this is the one that is interesting. So the flight risk, meaning they're willing to change jobs, 23% are willing to change their jobs, 27% are willing to keep the jobs, and here is the big one, I think, is where we are. 50% are indecisive. They don't know to badilishe, to sibadilishe. Well, before we take a look at the others as well, let's talk about what do you guys feel about how millennials, and that's between, I think, there is a big percentage that's between 25 to, I think, 30, which is the bigger percentage in Kenya today. But then there's also a percentage, 18, wale tu wametoka, and they're seeing, they wake up and they watch such a story. And they say, hey, sasa, hii first class yangu, hii A yangu, mazemi sitafuti job. And they're generally lethargic. They are not lethargic. They are generally, there's some apathy of actually looking for jobs. Yeah. Well, what do you think? What do you think about it?
Well, there's the pros and cons. Number one, they're growing up in a highly digital society.
Right.
There's too much information. I mean, people like us, we didn't grow up with too much information. So there's too much logged in their heads, and there's confusion as far as direction is concerned. Another problem I have is, of course, having talked to a few people and having the privilege of speaking in forums where most of them are, most of these young people go to school for employment, not to be employers. That's also another problem we have. I want to be employed, I want to be employed. I spoke at a school, I don't want to mention the school, and when the outgoing head student spoke, he said something that really impressed me. He said, now we are going to universities, when we come back, we'll employ people, set industries. And I was quite impressed because that is the direction you need to take, because the truth of the matter, there are no jobs. So that's why they're frustrated, and when they get frustrated, they'll go drinking, they'll go stealing, they'll be desperate. Now, this young man whose story was aired, and he's gotten 50 jobs. What about the other 50,000 whose stories have not been aired? Where are they?
Yeah, and even if you look at that hashtag, we saw a lot of young people also posting their first class, second class, upper, and they say, hey, it's been 2 years, it's been...
But have they tried something else?
Yeah.
As they're still trying to look for employment? Have they tried something else, or they're just sitting back? Because even as media houses, you cannot go to the estates looking for people who have such a story. You understand? So for you who will not be covered, who will not have the privilege of being covered for other people to give you jobs, what are you thinking of? And even when you think about career, if you're going to think about a course that is going to take 4 years, don't just do a course because it sounds romantic. You have to focus and look at the importance of that course, all right? 5-10 years or 5 years from the time you start your course. You just can't do something that is exciting you now. You have to study the trends, the industry you're going into, And as a country, if you want to be employed in Kenya and you're doing this particular course, and it's going to be a 4-year course, what does the focus say 6 years from today about that course? Will it be marketable in the job market or not? So that will make you avoid a lot of frustrations. Yeah.
What do you think, CJ?
Well, quite a number of things. Last week we talked about the element of, you've got to do something with your life. And you've got to start from where you are. The first thing I thought about when I saw the case of this young man, unfortunate as it is, was what's the value of education? If a student cannot come up with something to do, then are they educated? Because I don't think that education is just the accumulation of facts and knowledge and information that you can easily repeat what was said in a class, or you can write what was in a textbook. That's not the purpose of education. I think it's supposed to open your mind for you to be creative, analytic. It's supposed to help you have a broader perspective of life, solve problems. Now, if education cannot help us solve problems, then what is the value of it? So if I am challenged with something, and this is not to demean anybody, but if I'm challenged with something, how am I going to work my way out of it? What solutions am I coming with? If we're going to be the kind of people that have to wait for solutions to come, then I think that we need to reevaluate our educational system that is churning out the kind of people who come out and cannot solve problems. But there's also the other aspect that, you were mentioning a few of those the statistics. There's the aspect of what campus life is also to most of these people. They're generally in a place that is sequestered from the world. They may be talking about harsh realities, but money is being sent from somewhere. So they're used to having money and something to do at the same time. Then with the free time and the money, then there's a lot of clubbing and all of that kind of a thing. When they come out in real life, they want a continuation of that. And that's where the people begin to choose what kind of jobs they want, because they're looking for where they can work less and hang out more. They want the money, they want less responsibility, and the money, and the campus life to keep on going. So when you will hear people will say things like there are no jobs, it's not like there are no jobs. It's just that the kind of jobs that are coming are going to challenge them into something that they do not want to take up. Yeah,
just to look at some of the other stats there. It's interesting that you mentioned he mentioned that in terms of the type of jobs they're looking at as well. Let's take a look at the other slide there. So these are the top 3 traits that they value in a company. Sorry, that flashed by. Let me see if I have it. So they say the top 3 traits, if you can just repeat that one, is that they value a good pay, and they also value job security and proximity to home.
You see, Willis, you're not hearing the things of what somebody wants to add into a company or an organization. It's all about what I take. It's I want a good pay. Why? Because there's a certain life that they believe they should live. I hear quite a number of them when they talk about, even their first jobs, and somebody who has never worked will be telling you how much they think is not enough for a first job, because there is this imagination, there is this expectation, there is this desire of a certain kind of life that they believe is out there. Again, you'd have to interrogate the source of information of the young people. When we say there are no jobs, when you're sitting around with your clique that you came out of campus with, and these are the people that their word is law, and they're saying there's no job. So among yourselves, you agree on a WhatsApp group or something, so you're all venting and then you're all ranting, and they say there are no jobs, and an A will mean nothing or something. Then you go back and fold your hands and say there are no jobs out there. But if somebody asks who told you, it's just your clique. They need to also broaden their nets, and their network. Like, you have come out of campus. Thank God for the relationships that you had in campus, the friends that you had. But now you're out here. You're no longer a student of this particular college. You need to broaden your network so that you're not limited to a small circle that is saying certain things, then you take that as the law, and then you never really challenge yourself to go out there and find out, is there a job? Is there something that we can do? Do they pay well over here? You'll hear somebody tell you this company is not good, they don't pay well. You ask, who told you? But it's just from their own group right there that, no, I have a friend who says that they know somebody, So the facts are also the grounds from which they get their information, the facts, are also not very solid. So sometimes they believe so much in just what is in the grapevine. Yeah.
And do we also think that because, I mean, okay, you mentioned an important point. First of all, I don't want to let that go before I go to the next one. You talked about the value of the education system in terms of when people are going through it, they're just basically, which is true actually, because utaulizwa, what are the 5, okay, it was a while. For example, the Portuguese were, I don't know, yeah, whatever it is they used to do, what are the 5 things they used to trade in? And that is written in a textbook. Yes. So what you'll do is I'll cram this textbook and I'll reproduce, if I can use that word, copy-paste what I read there, copied in my mind or crammed, and I paste it back in the book. And then when I come out, like CJ saying, do you think there's a problem there in terms of the quality
of education?
Yeah, it's not all round.
Yes and no. Yes, because we want educated people, but we don't want learned people. So there are very many educated people, but they're not learned. And that is why somebody would hear a story, highly educated, so I will not take that job because I hear their pay is not good. But if you look at people who have gone into the highest of corporate ladder, when you listen to their story, they may have started from a very junior position. Sometimes you just want to put your leg in, so that once it's easier to get promotion while you are in. But also you also have to understand these young people now, to be honest, on the other side, are highly educated, by the way, to a point whereby we're now having, you can be a CEO at the age of 31. Those days, if you're a CEO at the age of 31, it will be breaking news. So there are very many people who are educated, but now what they need to be given is life skills. Our education system, if you ask me, and this is a personal opinion, is books, books, books. So if you don't get a B or an A, then you're on your way to failure. But if you raise leaders, you know, who understand social skills. We don't teach people social skills. That's why you're in class from morning to evening. Then after that, you have your dinner, you have your prep, so you're in class until midnight. You get kids. You bring up a kid, a nursery kid at 5 a.m. They're already at the school. What are you raising people for? You're raising people who will be bitter with life, but you're not raising people who will have social skills. So beyond education, what are you giving them? Are they innovators? Are they leaders? And that's what we need. Because an educated person without social skills is a man going so fast to nowhere.
And again, not to to insult those who actually do get A's, well and good, they do, there are some success stories. But then there's also that it is a book or a statement where C+ or C students employ A students. What is it that makes like a C student leave and, to use the word loosely, hustle, and then work so hard and be the boss and now say, okay, sasa mimi mdosi, acha sasa ni apply ule jambo mwenye alipata A. It happens. I mean, it's something that happens. What is that? What's the character?
I feel that sometimes when people are very good performers in school, because of what has been said over and over, you know, get good grades, get good jobs, you get a good salary. Sometimes there is a sense of entitlement where we think, because I've scored this and this and this, I deserve to get a job. We will not go out there to try things. I mean, you've got your A, you've got your first class. You're thinking, why should I go into the market and begin to buy certain goods and sell? Why should I be on the street hawking and doing that kind of a thing? But then somebody who has not scored too much doesn't have too many options in terms of the job market. So they're thinking, whatever I can find to do, let me do it. They're usually risk takers. They're usually very open to ideas. They're usually willing to start with anything, anyhow, because they've got nothing to lose. And then they develop what Arbi is talking about, their social skills. They're very relational with people. They know how to cut deals. They will be meeting with guys after work, you know, trying to find out, is there a deal? Can we do something? All of that. The A guy will only be pushing papers. Anytime, you know, it's mails and their papers. They want their papers to speak for them. But these are the guy will go out there, will make contacts, will start up things, will volunteer, will put themselves in a place where they're not even earning anything. If they can just learn something out of a trade, they will risk with money. usually people who have, and not to be misquoted, but people who have less do more with that. I say that all the time. The people who have less do more with that because they realize they don't have too many options. Somebody can sit at home with an A thinking, I don't know, okay, well, I'm still going to choose whether I need to go for a master's or should I get a top job or should I get this. They always believe that somewhere along the line their papers will speak for them. So they don't risk too much here.
And also, I see here Faith Allo says something very interesting here. She says, and this is on the hashtag Daybreak, she says, I am a youth, I'm employed, and I'm enjoying my work. However, I envy people who are self-employed because it means they didn't wait around to be employed. I agree with Burale that we need more learned people and not just educated ones. And I just want to take the other slide there that we have. Probably should be the ones about some of the traits. And yeah, that is it. So some of the character traits are these. So they are tech savvy, they're digital natives, as Burale said. They have a can-do attitude, they're diverse, they're global citizens, they're entrepreneurial, they're multitaskers, they're risk takers, and they're not fond of rigid work environments, they're productivity oriented, and they're most connected generation in history. And the projection is that by 2020, they will represent 50% of the entire global workforce. This is, of course, a report by Brighter Monday, and they, again, they say they served about 8,000 youth in that regard. So if you look at some of this, 2020 is in the next year.
Yeah.
They cannot be ignored.
They cannot be ignored.
No.
Yes, but looking at some of those traits, are those traits, some of them are good, looking good on paper, but are they being actualized? Like when you say can-do attitude, diverse, entrepreneurial, multitaskers, risk takers.
Now, that is a good thing if pointed towards the right direction.
Right.
Now, tech savvy, they're in the digital space. The digital space has the good, the bad, and the ugly. So direct them to take the good. Otherwise, then, some of them, their role models are slay queens. Others, their role models are corrupt politicians. You understand? Because they have all this space. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, there are others who use the digital space to gather knowledge. Because they have so much knowledge. I mean, for us, during our time, not that we are very old, but during our time, it's books. If you don't get, we used to have something called the encyclopedia. That's now our digital space. But now what they have at the click of a button is anything and everything they may want. So pick it right. From on your phone, you can go and follow a top world economist. But on the same token, you can go and every day you're following a slay queen or a slay king. You understand? So what are you picking? Can-do attitude, yes. They can do anything. They can work if they're pointed right. They can also be corrupt. You understand? So there's the good and the bad. Right. So what we need to do is point them to the right direction. Yes.
CJ, your thoughts on that?
I'm just thinking when everybody say, do they have the can-do attitude? Yes. But then, do they have the will-do?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Good point.
It's different. It's different. That you can do something does not mean that you will do it. And I think also there is this, there is this illusion about fame and money that also comes in. So at that level, with all that energy, sometimes people also want to arrive very early. You see somebody coming in and then they've got 1 million followers on Instagram, they've got about all this, and then they look like they're living a certain kind of a life every day. You'll see Arbi do his videos every morning. And then you came out over there and then you're thinking, okay, maybe I also need to be a life coach, because the assumption is that Arbi is living his life because he's a life coach, and so that's so easy. And so somebody will have come out of college and they refuse to do anything else. So they're thinking, okay, I want to be like Arbi. I'm going to be a life coach as well. So they're waiting for those big opportunities of when they're going to do certain kind of things that will give them certain amount of money, or an imagination that, Willis is earning quite much. That's the kind of job that I want. So there's also this illusion of the fame and the money, where people think that there are certain industries that are going to afford them certain amount of money and a certain kind of lifestyle. No matter how much money comes in, money, as it increases, responsibility also increases. And so we must also begin to bring into their minds that, you know, move away from the life that you see with people on their social media. They do that for various reasons. There are those who, of course, that's how they make their money. When they've got their followers and all of that, that's how they make their money. They do their business online and stuff like that. But then that's not going to be the reality for everybody. The way that most people are going to make their money is to just get back to the old way of fold your sleeves, make your hands dirty, and patiently work your way up. We've got to remove this speed thing over how to get there.
All right, well, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to delve more into this. Remember, you can talk to us and give us your comments, your views, your suggestions on the hashtag Daybreak. The essence line is also 22422. When we come back, we'll interrogate more on the youth. Are they crazy? Are they lazy? Or is it hazy? Tunakam, usiende mbali.